The second day of the NBA playoffs just finished, so let's talk about it. I say they finished, but this Minnesota game still has like 6 minutes to go. Shout out to anyone that stayed up and watched it with me. Um, it's 1:30 where I'm watching it at. So, but I just decided that this game is over, so I'm working on this now. I'm gonna record. I'm recording this while every game is pretty fresh in my mind. So we'll start off chronologically here. This is originally looking at the games today. I thought this would be the only like really good one. Is this Lakers Memphis game because they had their little altercation earlier in the year. But LeBron kind of went on this like after the play-in tournament. He kind of like showed some respect to Memphis and the Grizzlies. So I wondered how this one was gonna go down. We'll start at the beginning here. Lakers started off shooting really badly. D'Angelo Russell, I have written here, he didn't have ice in his veins. He went pretty much 2 from 8, like in the beginning quarter. LeBron, I couldn't tell if it was Dylan Brooks' defense or if it was just bad offense from LeBron. But he started 0 from 5 from 3. And overall, no one, Austin Reeves missed a couple. So it was just kind of starting off poor from the Lakers. But to pick up the slack, Anthony Davis was pretty dominant the first quarter. With no Steven Adams or Brandon Clark, he was kind of just feasting. There were some times when the Grizzlies were just kind of like driving at him. He had like 7 blocks in this game, and I was kind of wondering why they were doing that. They were trying to ISO Anthony Davis, and every time it didn't work out good, especially in the first quarter. Um, so that was an interesting move from the Grizzlies. Um, but in the second quarter, they doubled him more, and he was kind of quieter. He still was there, but he was just a little quieter. Then, in the middle of like the second quarter, he goes up. He gets his arm locked with someone, I think, and he comes down, and the people on the broadcast were like, well, "Oh, he says he can't move his arm." I'm like, "Great. Well, this is season's over." I thought for sure Grizzlies, they got this now. And no Anthony Davis, like now they just have to like double team LeBron, and it's more or less over. But he came back out at the end, or at the beginning. I don't remember exactly when he came out. I think it was at the beginning of the third, or it was late in the second. But he came back out, so we don't really know what his injury's like, or if it's gonna affect him, like in the long run, over the playoffs or even over the series. At the end of the second quarter, Jaren Jackson had like this stretch where he just could not miss in the post. He nailed a couple 3 pointers too, but his post moves with no Anthony Davis, he was just kind of eating against them. Um, they kind of seized momentum at the end of the half. It was a little like the Lakers show, and then the Grizzlies seized the momentum at the end of the half. Um, but then at the third quarter, the second half especially, Rui Hachimura came alive for about 25 points. The Grizzlies were kind of daring him to shoot, and he had his season high as a Laker in this playoff game. So shout out Rui, man. LeBron was pretty active defensively this game. He had a couple chase down blocks against the glass, and I think he had a steal or two. So shout out LeBron. And Reeves, man, Austin Reeves. Every time you think he's not gonna do anything, he just comes alive and just he's. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm trying to say that the fourth quarter for Austin Reeves was really good. He just could not miss. Like in crunch time, 5 minutes left of the game, give it to Austin Reeves. He's nailing everything. He does. He lives for crunch time, man. And he probably single-handedly like held off the Grizzlies because they were just feeding him, and he was delivering, 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 delivering. Um, so it kind of it was a fight the whole game, but down to the last couple minutes, Austin Reeves was executing, and the Grizzlies' offense was not. So that sucks for them. So yeah, the Lakers won this one. I just want to go over a couple more things for the Grizzlies here. Dylan Brooks was just taking some bad shots in this game, which he kind of does. It's Dylan Brooks. Bane was cooking in the third quarter. Doesn't really matter. John Morant, he had this stretch in the third quarter where he was pretty good, and then who knows? The Grizzlies probably would have won, or I shouldn't say probably. Who knows what would happen? But the Grizzlies would have had a better chance if Ja was in this game. He was going in for like a dunk layup, like crafty finish thing, and fell really hard on his hand. And it looks like he might be out the rest of the series or in the rest of the year, which really sucks because this is a much anticipated first round matchup. And if he's hurt, that kind of takes away a lot of the fun. I don't see a lot of Grizzly winning in the future if the Morant's out, with no Adams, no Brandon Clark, and no Morant. So that was the first game of the day, and I gotta say I thought that was gonna be the only good game. I thought I could predict how the other ones were gonna go, but I gotta say these other games are pretty banger, man. So next up we have this Heat and Bucks game. It seemed like the first quarter, or not even the first quarter, all game, the Heat's defense were bothering the Bucks because they shot like a season low, like 8 threes out of like 30 something. They just could not make a shot. Butler this whole game was in attack mode. He finished with 39 points and 11 assists on 55%. He had a solid game. Adebayo, Bam, he started off really cold, and then he kind of got it going. He like Brooke Lopez. I don't know. It didn't seem like he was doing great this game. It seemed like he was kind of daring Bam to take these shots, and every time Bam would take them and knock him down. Um, Jimmy would kind of drive into Bam, or not Bam. He would drive into Brooke too, and kind of just do a fancy layup around him. So I'm not sure if that was like a bad Brooke Lopez game or what, but he did not look great this game. You had on the Heat, you're amazing, Kevin Love. You're like an outstanding Kevin Love game, like the best one probably whole season. He shot 57% from three on 7 attempts, which is by far like blows his season average out of the water. His season average with Miami was like 20% from three, so he just made everything he put in. He finished with 22 points and 8 boards. The Miami had a solid game for everyone else. Tyler broke his hand though, which is a pretty big loss to the Heat. Like he's either the second or the third option, and they lose. Like they don't have many options outside of Bam and Jimmy, so that really sucks for them and really hampers their playoff, like how they're gonna do in this series and how they're gonna do in the playoffs in general. I assume he's not coming back off a broken hand. But let's get into the Bucks here. So when you talk about the Bucks in this game, first things first, you got to talk about Giannis's injury. When he went up for like a dunk or a layup or something, he kind of flipped over on 180 and landed really hard on his tailbone. But newest news about that is they did an X-ray on him and he looks alright. So they're just like sending him to bed and seeing how he feels in the morning. Which it sucks for the Bucks fans, but it's glad it wasn't any worse, right? Didn't have a broken tailbone or anything that would take him out for the season. Yeah. So from the beginning, the Bucks weren't making their threes, man. Everything they put up was pretty bad. They were not. They just couldn't get any threes to fall. Chris Middleton was really the only one that stepped up this game. He had 33 points on 60% with 9 assists. And the only other Buck that had like a really like solid game was Bobby Portis. He had 21 points on 60% with 8 boards. When they would come in, they were the only ones that really gave Miami trouble. Drew was good, but he wasn't he just had a solid game. It didn't feel like there was pretty good defense on Jimmy Butler. When sometimes Jimmy Butler would get in the middle of the floor and he would just attack Brook, or he would just do something. He would get in. He was just attacking their zone in a certain way. I don't think they were really prepared for, and he just got a simple few buckets going into the middle of that zone. And then no one could get three. Yeah, so that's really all I gotta say. I hope Giannis is good, man. That's pretty much what I gotta say for this one. I would say by far that the game of the day was this Clippers and Suns game. When I saw this matchup originally, I thought for sure that the Suns were just gonna steamroll the Clippers in like 5 games. But after watching this game, I'm not as convinced. So to start this one, yeah, especially with no Paul George. But to start this one off, Eric Gordon started the game with like 10 points in like 5 minutes. He was cooking to start the game. Zubac, shout out to Zubac, man. He was controlling. He was kind of underrated, I think. He was controlling the glass. He finished with 12 points on 62% with 15 boards. Norman Powell stepped up. He had some timely shots. Um, they all stepped up more than I thought they would. Like, I thought they were solid, but I didn't think that they were going to do anything crazy. Kawhi Leonard just entered cyborg robot mode. He had 38, 5 and 5. But he wasn't even. I mean, he probably was the best player, but my favorite player for this game was Russ. Russ, man, he shot something horrible. He shot like 3 of like 18. Um, but his defense on KD to start this game. What's weird about Russ's defense is he would always get blown by. Like, Kevin Durant would blow by him, but he would always get this behind the back, like, block thing where he got one earlier this year, too, as a Laker. But when KD goes into his jump shot, Russ knows exactly where that ball was going and where to put his hand to alter that. So I think that's like coming off those years playing in OKC together, Russ just kind of picked up on it. But he was taking his matchup seriously. He started KD. He held KD to 0 of 5 to start this game. When he wasn't guarding KD later in this game, he got blown by on the perimeter a lot. It's like, did you really need to close out that fast, Russ? Because he would close out really fast, and then whoever was attacking would just blow by him and make like Zubac pick up a foul to stop him. But he finished with 9 points. This is Russ. Russ finished with 9 points, 5 boards, five offensive boards. I mean, and 11 rebounds in total. 8 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. And that might sound impressive, but it really was. He got some timely offensive boards. There was this one possession where it was crunch time in the fourth quarter, and Russ just kept getting the ball over and over and over again. He had extreme tenacity on that board, and he would find Kawhi, and eventually they just made it fall. I'm not sure they would have won this game without Russell Westbrook being on the roster here. And when the Suns were trying to go in for a tie, Russell Westbrook blocks it and throws it off Booker for the game, pretty much. So that just injected a lot more life in this series for me, I think, because I thought that the Clippers were going to get steamrolled. So it's nice that they're just showing some life. Let's get on to the Suns here. Booker had 26 points with 4 steals and 3 blocks. He was locked in defensively. 4 steals and 3 blocks was pretty good. There was this one chase down like block thing he had on, I think it was Terrence Mann, where he got it and then threw it off Terrence. I haven't been watching that much Phoenix Suns games, but if he can keep doing this kind of defense, I didn't know he really had that in his bag. KD was a near triple-double. He had 26 points, 9 assists, and 11 rebounds. it seemed like the Phoenix Sun offense didn't go through KD enough. It seemed like they had not played with each other, which they really haven't. They've only played like 8 games, 9 now, but they only had it seemed like JJ just didn't have any chemistry. And the fourth quarter, they just could not get a rebound to save their life, man. And the last thing I want to talk about the Suns is that they only had 10 combined bench points, which, if you're the Phoenix Suns, you have to look at that and be like, oh, how do we fix this, man? Campaign didn't play in this game, but, you got to find a way to get more production out of that bench. And last and least of the day is this Nuggets T-Wolves game, who definitely had a basketball game today. I don't really have a lot to say about this game. The Nuggets are just far superior than the T-Wolves. They just have their offense is just so much better than the T-Wolves. It was like a 30-point blowout. Yeah, man, I don't have anything else to say.